Greetings out there in YouTube land. This is Morris, man. And as always, I thank you guys for coming to my channel. Today I'm going to do a response or reply to me and Joe, who have a talk show called Tell It Like It Is. We posted a video or a topic that was pretty hot button because our show is about talking about things that most people don't want to talk about or don't even realize it's a problem. And the name of the topic was black young women, and we weren't picking on the black women because it takes a young black male or a male to create or put them in the situation they're in. So I want to stress that this is not about bashing young black women. It's actually about trying to help. And the name of the topic was young black women stop having all these goddamn kids. So of course we got quite a few responses, and all of them were positive, as far as trying to figure out how do we stop this. So I got several interactions with a particular subscriber, and it was a friendly exchange. We was trying to figure out, what do we do? And I made this statement, most likely we're not going to stop young folks from having sex, because that is not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is what happens after the sex. Here comes the baby that nobody takes care of for their entire life properly. So now this kid grows up and it's missing something, and it ends up into the judicial system at some point in time, as far as drugs or run-in with the cops, gangs and things of that nature, crime. So how do we stop this? Because my statement was the sex is not the biggest issue. The biggest issue again is pregnancy. So how do we stop that? And I put out some suggestions, but unfortunately, in a perfect world, these things would work. But in an imperfect world, they don't. Because I'm going to read one of the passages from one of my subscribers, and then we're going to discuss this and just talk about this topic in more detail. It says, "We didn't come into this world having sex. Our parents taught us. We were designed to reproduce by God's design and done through a marriage and relationship." I totally agree, and I wish that we could do it that way. Carol and Russell Williams proved that to us, that we can abstain from sex until we're married. You won't die. Now, again, I totally agree. You won't get no argument out of me regarding that statement, because in a perfect world, that would be wonderful, but we're by no means in a perfect world, not even a good world these days. So what do we do? And again, I'm going to say this because I think most of us kind of lose sight of this. We totally understand that a young black man, or any man in any race, but we're talking about the problems in the black community and our culture. We already know that a young black man needs his father in the household to help him become a well-rounded male. A woman can't do it by herself. A man can't do it by herself. But women will argue. Some women will argue and differ as far as, I can do this by myself, me and my mama. You and your mama. Your mama didn't help you make this baby. This other dude did. Go find him and help and make him finish what he started. But what we don't realize is this. Our young black women or girls need their father just as much. Nobody ever talks about that. We always talk about how the father is absent for the son. What about the daughter? And I give you a good example why it's needed. It's been shown as far as studies that young men that have girlfriends that they beat on and harass, the fathers in those young girls' homes are none. The father is not there, because this is how it worked back in the day when I was growing up. My mother was in the household. My father was in the household. If some reason, and I had sisters and brothers, if for some reason some guy decided that he wanted to try to, be disrespectful to my sister, here comes the father, here comes the brothers. We kept those guys in check, or kept them out of that circle. But when you don't have a father in the household, and these guys know this, and they deliberately sometimes look for women or young women that don't have a father in the household, so they can kind of push them around, scare them, beat on them, because they don't feel any repercussions. There's not going to be a big dude showing up at their door an hour later or sooner, demanding what took place, and you're about to get you handed ass whooping. So we don't think about those things now. But, back when I was growing up in the 60s and the 70s, that's what went down. So, young guys didn't play that or didn't try to go there. And the majority of the young guys back in that era had fathers in the house, and they were respectful because they were taught to be respectful. These young guys now, not all of them, they don't know nothing about being respectful. Mama did the best she could. I don't want to point fingers at mama or grandmama, but, it takes two strong people to raise a child well. And that's the problem that we have now in our community, that nobody's kind of following that old school tradition. Because, again, realistically, we can't say we just try to stop them from having sex, because one of the points in this note that I just read was teach our kids to be abstinent. Now, here's the problem with that. The kids that we are talking about, that doesn't apply to them, because the kids that will be abstinent and go to church most likely got a mother and a father in the house. So they're not the problem. They're not going to be the ones that are going to go out there and have a bunch of kids. It's the ones that don't have guidance, don't have God in their life, don't have church, don't have father. Those are the young women that are going to fall prey to these early pregnancies, and not just one. Usually it's 2 or 3 pregnancies, by the time they're 25, by 2 or 3 different men. And again, I'm not pointing a finger at the young women. What I'm saying is, it's everybody's problem. It's everybody's fault. Because, you look at this young girl who doesn't have her father in the household. Most likely her mother didn't have her father in the household neither. Because, 2 parents don't play that you coming up in their house every year or so having babies. I came from a family of 10. And my mother laid the law down. She said, don't bring no babies up in here. None of us did. Because we knew that ain't happening here. But unfortunately, the way that things are now, and it's really unfortunate that all of these kids are coming into this world, all these young black kids without a mother and a father that were married in the household when they were brought into this world. It's a big problem. It's a bigger problem than we think it is, because just today in Chicago, I was watching on internet news, because I don't live in Chicago anymore. Don't live in Illinois. They said that the past weekend was the most violent, deadliest weekend so far in Chicago. 17 people were killed. Not robbed or beat up, killed. And most of those were under the age of 20, And 2 of these victims, unfortunately, were twins. They were I think 15, 16 years old. Because like I said, when I was growing up, worst case scenario was somebody trying to take your bike and you get a beat down. You live to tell about that. Now people are killing people that they don't even know and don't have a beef with. And all that can be traced back to the family structure. The black family structure has just kind of fell apart. It has collapsed. It's not that often that I observed a young man with his young bride and his daughter or son walking down the street or at the park. What I see is a girl by herself that's under 20, got 2 kids in a baby carriage. It's like, where's the boyfriend? Where's the husband? He's absent now. And again, I believe, and this is just my opinion, the root of all these issues that we're having in the black community can be traced back to that. Because again, 20, 30 years ago, we grew up in a household where mama was there, daddy was there and married to mama. And they both created a balance as far as taking care of their kids. Because I hear this sometimes from young black women. Well, my son didn't have his father in his life and he turned out good. And I applaud you for that. But guess what? He probably could have turned out even better if he had daddy in the house, Did you ever think about that? So it's an ongoing battle and discussion to try to head this off, because we've been in this direction for at least 15, 20 years, and it has to stop, because it's not healthy for our young kids that are coming into this world with not a mother and a father in the household to keep them balanced, and that's the problem. There's a lack of balance, because I'm going to share this story with you and then I'm going to sign off. When I was in Illinois, I lived in this building complex. in the next building next to me, it was this young guy, and we called him, we nicknamed him Ike, you know, as in Ike and Tina Turner, you know, always beating up on women. And one day he was coming out of his building because I was on my way out, and I seen him coming out of his building with his girlfriend. Some told me to stop and just observe him. So he came out with her, and I'm saying to myself, is he going to be a gentleman and go over to the passenger door, open the door up and put her in and secure her, then come out to the driver's side and get in the car? Or is he going to walk up to the driver's side and then just pop the lock for her once he gets into the car? And unfortunately, he did number two. Now, when I tell people this story or share this story with people, they automatically see the fault. But I'm like, there's actually two faults. It's like, what do you mean? I just seen one. You know, this guy was not a respectable gentleman and he didn't open up the car door for his woman. Here's the other fault. The daughter, or should I say the woman, the girlfriend, allowed him to do this. Because when you have a young woman that was raised by a man and a woman, she's taught respect. She's taught that I command respect. And if you can't show me that, I can't be bothered with you. So, unfortunately, her parents failed her too because she allowed and accepted that behavior from him. As far as, I'm not going to open your car door. You're going to get in when I pop that lock, girl. You know, our young women should be taught to identify gentlemen and identify guys that aren't, because this guy here actually was very verbal and physical with her. You know, one person had to end up calling the police because one day he chased her out of his apartment half naked. You know, and it's like, what is that about? You know, so all of this stems from lack of proper raising. You know, when you're raised right, you don't behave like that. And you don't associate with people that behave like that. So until next time, take care, and always, I appreciate you guys coming to my channel. And I just thought I felt to need to expound on that topic, you know, regarding that and the interactions I had with this other gentleman, you know, because, again, it was a friendly exchange. We were just trying to determine, you know, how do we fix this? You know, what's the problem and how do we, you know, get this back on track? So until next time, take care. Appreciate it. Thanks for watching.